Cross, a weekly recap of your Philadelphia Flyers from blue line to blue line. Broadcasting live from Chickies and Pete's, tonight's show is brought to you by Han & Stone Spa, Pat Dion Beverages, The Capitol Grill, Chickies and Pete's, Payroll Service Solutions, and Independence Blue Cross. We now go live to Chickies and Pete's for On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. Now, here are your hosts, former Flyer Brad Marsh and Paul Jolovitz.
And welcome everybody to Chickies and Pete's here in beautiful Parks Casino in Ben Salem. We've got a packed house, million TVs, plenty of people, plenty of atmosphere and zip for On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. Should be a great show tonight as we take a look at the Flyers and everything about them with our co-host. Flyers defenseman was not supposed to do a show for a few weeks, but then Mr. Perrant got sick, so you're pinch hitting today, and always glad to have you here, Brad Marsh.
Well, thank you. Happy to be here. Happy to be here.
Thank you very much. Our guest tonight, I had to look up. I've never heard of him. He is in something called the Hall of Fame, so he must have been a pretty good player. Defenseman with the Flyers, without question, the greatest defenseman in Flyer history. One of the nicest people in Flyer history or anywhere else, Mr. Mark Howe. Thanks for being here tonight, Mark.
Thanks, Paul. Glad to be here.
Wonderful to be here. Guys, Flyers going on a 4-game Western trip starting in Seattle, slightly under 500, playing hard. I think they're a lot different, Brad, than we thought they were going to be. We talked about this last week, and they had a rough week, obviously a couple losses, but I was talking to Danny from Payroll Service Solutions before the show, and I said, John Tortorella's doing a great job getting blood from a stone. He just might not have enough stones, but Flyers are really playing their guts out, aren't they?
Yeah, I think everybody, for the most part, is happy with the team. Yeah, we're not happy where we are in the standings. Like that's a given, but I think given the injuries and so on, I think that pretty much everyone's happy with the team because they are entertaining to watch. They are working hard. We didn't see that in the last couple of years. And so John has delivered, and hopefully this new message that he's bringing in of the work ethic is going to rub off on all the young kids and the new kids coming in over the summer and next year.
And Mr. Howe has two sets of eyes for us tonight, one as a player in his distinguished career, also a scout and front office person with the Detroit Red Wings forever. Mark recently retired, living life fine now, fishing, having a good time. What do you see from these Flyers as far as effort, and where do you think they can go, and how far do you think it'll take for them to get there?
Well, I haven't been to a lot of games, haven't seen much, but the games I have seen, all you have to do to keep the people happy here is show them your care and your work. And I see that in the game. So, like I said, their toughest competition is the two buildings across the street. So I'm between the Eagles and the Phillies, who had outstanding seasons. And so they're battling that, but they're trying to sneak into the playoffs. The hard part is they don't have to overtake one team. They probably have to overtake about 4 or 5.
Yep.
So they have to have a significant record better than all of those teams, and that's the hard part. But they're point-wise, they're fairly close. But if they have a good Western swing, then they get back in the hunt. Then you're down to 20-plus games.
The thing is that was a great game against Edmonton last week.
Sure, terrific.
And they win it, which is great. But they needed to beat the Islanders because that's one of the teams they're chasing.
Yep.
You know, let Edmonton win. They're one of the better teams, but beat the teams that are just ahead of you.
If you could choose the games you won, that'd be nice.
That's correct. But what a great game that gives us. I don't want hope is the wrong word, but that's so encouraging the way they played for 60 minutes versus the Oilers.
Trade deadline coming up. We'll talk about that. We can't really avoid the 10,000-pound gorilla in the room, guys. You both played here forever. As Mark mentioned, a certain team lost on Sunday. How bummed out are you guys about the Birds game?
Well, I put it this way. So my daughter's a huge Eagles fan. She's married to a guy from Kansas City. So I said, you guys need a bigger home. But what I always hope for come Super Bowl time is that it's a good football game. And I think this was an excellent football game. I know all the Eagles fans are so disappointed with the penalty call late. What that did, it took away the excitement of the last minute and 40 seconds of the game. Mm-hmm. I mean, you could have been I was on the edge of my seat. I love watching good football. It was, both sides of the ball was excellent. And there was 2 plays, the fumble recovery for a TD and the punt return. that was the difference in the game. It wasn't the penalty, it was those two plays.
I agree, Mr. Marsh. You look at it the same way?
Oh, it was a great game. I enjoyed it from start to finish, and I'm chuckling. Saved the city of Philadelphia a lot of money in damages, but I feel bad. My wife's from here, my brother-in-law's, and her entire family. They're huge Philly sports fans, and to see the disappointment on their face after following the team for so long, et cetera, et cetera. But it was a great game, and I think the future bodes very well for the Eagles because that quarterback. And once again, I'm not a student of football. I watch it because it's an entertaining game and so on. But I like watching athletes and how they carry themselves, how they interview, how they're around in pressure situations.
Here's a Jalen comment coming on.
Yeah, and Jalen's the real deal, man.
Yep.
And I think so. The future's bright. Kind of like Carter Hart in the net for us.
It is.
He played well. He had struggled a little bit in his second year, I think it was, Howie. And but he's come back and he's proved that he's the real deal. And that's great when a franchise has a foundation like that.
Well, Mark Howe's foundation started early. Him and his brother Marty were teenagers when they teamed up on a line in Hartford with some guy named Gordon, something like that. When your father's nickname, Mark, is Mr. plus the sport he plays, he must have been pretty good. Obviously, Gordie Howe, one of the greats in hockey history, if not the most famous player in the history of the sport. Alex Ovechkin just passed him, but Gordie Howe's legacy is secure. And this is kind of a different question I've ever talked about before. Both on the positive side and the negative side, what was the difference growing up as Mark Howe than it would have been if your name was Mark Marsh?
My mom taught me years ago to look at the advantages and the disadvantages. Well, the disadvantages was a list about this long, and one of that being you go somewhere, you try to have dinner, and Dad's interrupted the whole time signing autographs, so you don't get a lot of personal time. The list of positives was like this. One being, when I was a 14-year-old boy, I said, my dad took me up to training camp, Port Huron, Michigan, and I skated with the Red Wings for 7 days of training camp as a 14-year-old. Like, nobody else ever got to do that. Whenever I wanted, I'd get a ride down to the old Olympia in Detroit, and if I got there, like 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, and a guy working the concession stand, Jesse, he'd feed me lunch, and I'd skate till 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So there's many days I did that. I'd be on the rink by myself. I got into every game, so I got in the locker room. I got to be stick boy when Chicago came in town, Toronto came in town. I was a rink rat, and just had a love and a passion for the game. And being the son of Gordie Howe enabled me to do what I love to do far more than I could have if I wasn't his son.
All right, one of the questions I've been curious about the last couple of days, you guys played together on a couple different Flyer teams in the mid-'80s. 2 teams that lost to Edmonton in the Stanley Cup final. Everybody's wondering what's Jalen Hurts, what are the Eagles going to learn, what are the Phillies learn, what are the Union going to learn. When you lose like that and you get so close to the mountain then are tripped up so close to the summit, what do you learn from that? What did you guys take out of it? Did it help you in your careers? Brad, you first.
Well, in '85, we went to the finals, as you know, and that was a young team, Howie, and we weren't really expected to do anything that year. And then we took the NHL by storm. We won the President's Trophy. And the thing is when you go to the finals, you always think, we'll be back.
Sure.
We'll be back. And we're
like
fortunate.
The Eagles are thinking right now.
Yeah, we were fortunate to go back, not the following year, but the next year. And then for myself, I never got a whiff. And so if you ever had a chance to talk to the team that was in a final of any sport, you got to take that moment and enjoy it and grasp it and do whatever you can to win, because you never know when you're going to get the chance again.
Yeah, Brad, Mark, Bill Bergey's told me the 80 Eagles, many 80 Eagles, they went to the bus the next morning to come back saying, we'll be back, and a lot of them never got back. You got back, but what was it like to come so close a couple times like that?
Well, in '85, yeah, we got to the final, and both teams were beat up, but our team was so beat up. We had so many guys out, and then you get to the final, because we beat the Oilers pretty regularly in regular season. But I remember after one of the games, I went to the post-game shows, and so they had the Oilers on before. And when they interviewed Wayne Gretzky, Wayne said, there's the regular season, there's the playoffs, and then the third season is the Stanley Cup Finals. And the Oilers proved to us in '85 what that statement meant. Well, so that's what we learned. The next year, I think we had a heck of a run, but that was the year we lost Pelle Lindbergh, and I think that emotional loss, I think the team pushes through it, but I think by the end of the year, it kind of mentally wore us out. We got back into it. We had a couple changes in the lineup, and we were much stronger, I think, in '87, far more competitive. There are no excuses, but I wish to God we had Timmy Kerr for just because every team I ever played on got to a series, you always counted on your goalie to win one game, and you just need them. And then if the other 19 guys can get their act together, you can win 3 games. Well, with the Flyers, I counted on my goalie to win a game. Timmy Kerr used to win us 1 game. The 1 game he needed, he would win, and then the other 18 guys, if they could win 2 games, and we didn't have Timmy, and that was a massive loss for us.
All right, you're probably the most physically talented defenseman on your teams. Certainly a Hall of Famer. You don't need to explain anything to anybody. I have never said this before on this show. The guy next to me, Mr. Marsh, I obviously have no talent whatsoever to do anything, so I learned to talk for a living. But Brad Marsh, far from the most physically talented defenseman. You watch a Connor McDavid, you watch Brad Marsh, you say that's two different sports they're playing. But then again, Brad Marsh was a guy that you can measure speed, you can measure jump leaping ability, you can't measure desire, and you can't measure heart. What was it like to watch this guy block shots, play his guts out every night, knowing he's not the most physically talented defenseman out there, but in the 4-man system that Keenan pretty much employed, 4D, what was it like playing with Brad in that heart?
Well, the best thing you can say about any athlete is you know what to expect from them, and you get it every day with consistency. With Brad, you got it with consistency. The other part was he had an A on his jersey, as did I. His leadership quality for that hockey club, both in the locker room and leading by example. So Brad gave it every single day at practice, which I tried to do as well. So anybody that's young coming into that hockey club, so a lot of the leadership, a lot of his game, you only saw it at the games. We spent probably 90% of our time doing everything else. His attributes in that other 90% is what made him great. What he did on the ice, I just expected it. He gave it my theory on blocking shots, I go with what my dad said. If I'm in the position I have to block the shot, I'm in the wrong position. So I played Brad being much bigger, stronger than I. He could physically take people out. With me being smaller, I had to defend with quickness. But in order to play all the minutes he played, his endurance, his off-ice training, everything that comes into being an excellent, great athlete, Brad had all those skills, and that's why he was one of the leaders of our hockey club. And like I said, he and Doug Crossman they didn't get the attention that McCrimmon and I got, but they were every bit as important because they slugged in basically almost the exact same minutes as we were, a few less. That was it.
Brad, what was it like for you knowing that you were a hell of a player, but that you weren't a physical freak, couldn't do the things a lot of people could do? And how often did you say, what if I could do this, do that? Did that ever come to you, or were you just a player you were and you were happy with that?
No, I never thought of it that way. You play the game, and if you go back to that 84-85 season when Keenan came in, it was his first year. I had played 5 years in the league, something like that, 6 years in the league, and I was just okay. I worked hard, as Howie said, but I was just okay. And Mike Keenan made me a better player with the practice that he brought in and the quickness and the up-tempo practice and the up-tempo drills that we did. And I became, as I said, better under Mike. And so it was almost like I had a new-found career when Mike took over. And there was a lot of players that were the same as me. They all of a sudden were flourishing in this new up-tempo style. And so I embraced the opportunity to play more, and I embraced the opportunity to be one of the leaders. And it was great playing with Howie and Brad, and yes, we got the bulk of the minutes, the four of us, but that's what made our team so good is we pushed each other in practice. We pushed each other in the training room, because if they were going to beat us, they were going to have to work to beat us. And so me and Cross worked really well together. Howie and Beast worked really well together. That's why our team was good.
Well,
it was almost comical when our practices were so hard. 1 hour max, but it was high intensity.
Yeah, scale down for the games, right?
And it took our team probably about 2 months to get up to that pace. And then when you made a trade and you got a new player, and I love being first in the line. I wanted to be the role model. I wanted to be the example. And you'd go and you'd zing around. Now you're back in line, and now here's this guy that's just coming to your team new. Well, his tongue's hanging on the ground. He's just, and it might be a 10-year pro. And the guy's just, he said, you could see him circling back in line again, trying to get a little extra rest. But that's how hard that we got pushed, and every guy on that team, they answered that bell of practice, and that's what made us better.
You see why the Flyers were the team they were in the 80s, the work ethic. It was amazing. I've asked people about 10 million questions in my lifetime. I've never been quite as surprised, maybe ever, as when I asked Mark Howe a certain question about 20 years ago. I don't know if you remember this, but I'll give you that question when we came back. It certainly surprised me in a very positive way. You listen on the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross, live from Chickies and Pete's, right here on 1490 WBCB. You can watch on Facebook Live. It's time now for the Independence Blue Cross Live Fearless Player of the Week. This week it's Morgan Frost for his shootout winner to beat Edmonton. Remember to choose Independence Blue Cross today and begin to live fearless. Back with Independence Blue Cross on the ice from Parks Casino in Bensalem. Come on up, say hi to Mark and Brad right after this.
Hi, it's Pete from Chickie and Pete's. It's all new and it's all for you. The heated deck at Chickie and Pete's on the Boulevard is now open. It's enclosed, heated, and perfect for the ultimate in-game experience or live music when the best local bands take the stage. Like LeComte, Fat Mez, or Jameson. Check our website for the band schedule. The heated deck at Chickie and Pete's on the Boulevard is now open every Thursday through Sunday. Chickies and Pete's.
At Independence Blue Cross, we believe in giving you the tools you need to pursue your healthiest life. From premiums as low as $0 per month to health discounts and cash rewards, it pays to have coverage with Independence. With the strongest network of doctors and hospitals in the region and free 24/7 virtual doctor visits, you can feel confident that quality care is always within reach. Explore your coverage options and enroll today at ibx.com.
A flawless occasion begins at the Capitol Grill. From the moment you step into the Capitol Grill, located in the heart of Center City, the experience is one of comfortable elegance. Whether you're looking to host a private affair, a perfect lunch stop, or dinner destination, start your occasion at the Capitol Grill today. Visit thecapitolgrill.com or call 215-545-9588. That's 215-545-9588 for the Capitol Grill, Center City.
Payroll Service Solutions was established in 2001 to cater to the payroll needs of small to medium-sized businesses. Payroll Service Solutions offers unparalleled customer service while they deliver a complete and accurate payroll. When calling Payroll Service Solutions, you will never be put into a voicemail or go through a series of prompts to get to a person. All customer service representatives are extensively trained to handle all of your payroll needs, therefore saving you time. They value each and every one of their clients. No account is too small. Call Payroll Service Solutions today at 1-866-PAY-EASY for a no-obligation review of your payroll needs. That number again is 1-866-PAYEASY. Payroll Service Solutions.
If you're looking for a stylish and sophisticated fine dining experience, visit your Eddie V's Prime Seafood restaurant near King of Prussia. Eddie V's Seafood features an abundant selection of fine wines and curated cocktails to complement exquisite steaks and seafood made from the highest quality ingredients. In the V Lounge, sip on imaginative handcrafted cocktails with attitude while enjoying signature appetizers. Conveniently located between I-276 and I-76 near the King of Prussia Mall. Call them today, 610-337-7823 to schedule your night out for Eddie V's Prime Seafood.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. Once again, here are your hosts, Paul Jolovitz and former Flyer Brad Marsh.
Welcome back to Chickies and Pete's in Ben Salem at Parks Casino, where everything's rolling and rocking. A lot of people here. Thanks, everybody, for coming, listening, watching. We have a great time every week. It's time now for the Smart Stat of the Week, brought to you by Payroll Service Solutions. Call them today at 1-866-PAY-EASY. That's 1-866-PAY-EASY. The Flyers are 1-9 in overtime games this season, lost again to the Predators in 34 seconds this week. That's a talent gap that Chuck Fletcher needs to look at the trade deadline, and obviously more for future years. That was your Flyers Smart Stat of the Week, once again brought to you by Payroll Service Solutions. Call them today at 1-866-PAY-EASY for the smart choice in payroll services. Payroll Service Solutions, catering the small and medium-sized business to handle all of your payroll needs. Call them once again at 1-866-PAY-EASY. We're here at Brad Marsh and Mark Howe. Mark, about 20 years ago, we were at a Flyers golf outing at Philadelphia Cricket Club, and we were sitting eating lunch together with a couple other people, and I asked you a question that I was in shock at the answer. I asked you at that point, you were inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2011. This was well before that. I said, Mark, do you feel like you belong in the Hall of Fame? And without any hesitation, you said no immediately. And I said, no, really? I mean, everybody's got an ego. Everybody's... And you said, I know I was a really good player. You pretty much laid it out there. I was good at this, blah, 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 blah. But I don't think it was a Hall of Famer. Turns out people disagreed years later. But what led you, I don't know if you remember saying that, but what was your view of yourself as a player?
I still feel the same way today. The only reason I got in the Hall of Fame is Scotty Bowman pushed for me, and Scotty's got power.
The only reason is you were a great player.
Well, no, but you have to have people. If you're in limbo like I was, you're on the fence. Somebody needs to push for you to get you in. But no, I was very competitive. I was a very, very good skater. I was quick. My first three strides, very few people could beat my first three strides. And for the most part, I saw the ice very well. I know actually the Edmonton game, I was sitting with my old boss from Detroit for years, Kenny Holland, and watching the game and talking about a couple defensemen. The one guy goes behind the net, he gets the puck. You're sitting upstairs. But when you play the game instinctively, I know two of my guys here, and I see 4 Flyer jerseys. So I'm going, okay, I only see one of my teammates' jerseys here, so I'll throw the puck over here, even if I can't see it, because I'm going to have them outnumbered 3-1 on this side. And one of my guys has to be able to read what I'm going to do. Well, their defenseman 2-3 times took it, and they went the other way with it. And I said, well, I look at Kenny, I said, wow, these guys have really bad instincts. So I was blessed. I had real good instincts. Every once in a while, things got muddled. You make a turnover, you do things. But I don't know. Like I said, my speed. But anybody gets in the Hall of Fame, they're competitive. And a lot of people, they looked at me and from upstairs and said, well, he's got the skill, he's got this and that and everything else. And I very seldom read things about me, but there was a quote from Paul Holmgren, which for me, it flatters me. He said next to Bobby Clark, he thought I was the most competitive player he's ever seen. So, and when I looked at myself, anybody who knows me, I'm a competitive. My brother, when he read my book, and I talked about when we were kids, he got cut over the eye. I think we were like 10 years old. He went in, so he got 10 stitches. A week later, he's going to get his stitches out. I got cut over the eye. So now they did his stitches out, and they're going to do mine. And the doc said, it looks like 10 stitches. I said, no, it's 11. So my brother said, wow, you were that competitive? I said, yeah, that's and to me, anybody that gets to those levels is just you're highly competitive at what you do.
And you mentioned something in that answer that I was talking with Brad about after a show a couple weeks ago. I said, Brad, what's the difference between an NHL defenseman and a great weekend warrior or a guy who was a minor league player? And Brad said it's not really what you might think. He said it's the 0 to 60. That a lot of people can skate, a lot of people can get up to top speed and fly. But Brad, you said those first couple strides are what differentiate an NHLer from that other type. You go from 0 to 60. Well, talk about that a little more if you could.
Well, as Howie said, his first 3 strides were great. My first 3 strides were nowhere near his, but I got to the point where I prided myself. When I got from A to B, I knew what I was going to do with the puck. And there's a lot of players, Mark talked about instinct, bang on. Once again, what separates the good players from the players that perhaps never quite made it, because we all have good ability, but the instinct and the hockey knowledge. And I found a way to get from A to B.
Well,
might not have been pretty.
And Brad could anticipate. So what it is, if you anticipate quicker than the other guy and you get in that first half stride, or just the first little bit of that stride.
Isn't that what made Gretzky great?
Yeah, because I never thought Wayne was fast, and he just his instincts were. I said the hard part about playing against him was you could kind of get a sense and you could read. So when the puck went out to the point, instead of fronting the net, he'd be shooting behind the net. So I'd start hanging by the net and I'd start picking some plays off. And you're going, yeah, I finally got it. Well, the next thing you go, where the heck is he? And now he's hiding in the corner over here, and they're putting a guy in a higher slot and they throw it to that guy. So now you have to change it again. That's part of what made made them totally different than anybody else.
Yeah, it's such a wonderful game and so many wonderful things about it. It gives you an opportunity to give back also, Mark, and your father, Gordy, and your brother, Marty, you played with in Hartford. The Howe Family Foundation. We were talking before the show a little bit about some of the donations you guys make. I mentioned Michael Jordan giving $10 million to Make-A-Wish, the largest gift ever given to an organization by anybody. And you talked about you guys and Snyder Hockey. It's really tremendous what you can do. I know Brad does all kinds of stuff with the Warriors. Tell us about the Howe Family Foundation and what you guys tend to support.
Well, my mom and dad created the Howe Foundation back in 1992, and with the intention of giving back, which my mom and dad always did. And now when they're not here, and since my dad passed, and rather than us kids sell off a bunch of things, keep some stuff, we decided to sell it all off, but have the money go to the Howe Foundation. So last year we had a good year doing some auctions up in Toronto. We raised a little over $450,000, and that's just kind of the tip of the iceberg. And we picked 3 locations. One is Dad's hometown of Saskatoon that we're trying to get something put through. We're trying to do something on Vancouver where Dad was so beloved out there. And we've already had a 3-year relationship with Snyder Hockey, and but we're fortunate enough we're going to do, and I love it. You give to Snyder Hockey, so every dime you give, they tack on $2 to it. So yeah, we're going to give. We gave basically $50,000 to Snyder Hockey, and so it's like helping kids in the Philadelphia, Delaware Valley area to the tune $150,000, and I've met a few of these people. Actually, my youngest son Nolan was coaching a team, Maine Nordiques, and they drafted a kid who he was the first kid that came through Snyder Hockey. Wow. Went on to this junior league. It's a league right below the USHL. Great family, great kid, and when you see, even if it helps one child, then it's worth it. So. Yeah, so whether it be girls, boys, whatever it is, but like I said, to be tied in with Snyder Hockey, to be able to help people in an area that I've lived at since 1982, it's great to give back.
Well, Brad gives back also in a lot of ways through the Warriors, the hockey team you coach. I wonder, Brad, has there ever been somebody, a kid who went through Snyder Hockey here in Philadelphia, who then went into the military, who then decided they wanted to be a part of the Warrior program? Have you had any of those yet? And if not, tell us about the satisfaction you get giving back coaching the Warriors.
No, I think the Warrior kids. The Snyder kids. I forget the exact year that Mr. Snyder started that. I think they're still too young.
Okay.
But the Snyder Hockey is the best, without a doubt, program for inner city kids in the whole world. It is the benchmark. It is unbelievable the work that they do, and alumni, we're a big supporter of it. I know Mark, as he just said, the Howe family is. We're happy to support them because the work that they do, the graduation rate that they have, and some of those kids will be the future leaders of the country. It's wonderful. So it's great. We're happy to be a part of them.
Yeah, a lot of it relates to so the story with my dad is they grew up. They had virtually nothing, so they grew the crops for anything they had during the Depression. For them to scrape a dollar together was really difficult. And a woman came to the door, and she needed money. She had a bag with things in it, and so my grandmother ended up. She scraped together like $2.50, gave it to this woman.
Nice.
Inside this bag was a pair of hockey skates, and had it not been for her to give away any money she had, so the charity she did provided a pair of hockey skates. If Gordie Howe never had them, might have never had that Gordie Howe. So our dream is if you can affect one child that way in the Philadelphia area, then yeah, it's a definite home run.
That is amazing, and there's so much great stuff about the Howe family. Obviously, Gordie, Brad Marsh, his work with the Flyer alumni. Talk about the Flyer team, 4-game road trip. When we come back a little bit, John Tortorella doing a nice job. Chuck Fletcher, the GM, has got some decisions to make. There's already been a couple deals around the NHL trade deadline, a couple weeks, the first week of March. We'll talk about that a little bit when we come back. Independence Blue Cross presents On the Ice from right here at Chickies and Pizza Man Salem. Plenty of people coming up to get Mark and Brad's autograph. We'll talk about the Flyers when we come back right after this.
Hi, it's Pete from Chickie and Pete's. It's all new and it's all for you. The heated deck at Chickie and Pete's on the Boulevard is now open. It's enclosed, heated, and perfect for the ultimate in-game experience or live music when the best local bands take the stage. Like LeComte, Fat Mez, or Jameson. Check our website for the band schedule. The heated deck at Chickie and Pete's on the Boulevard is now open every Thursday through Sunday. Chickies and Pete's.
I'm always striving to live my healthiest life, so I need a health plan that has my back. With Independence Blue Cross, I get access to the largest network of doctors and hospitals in the region and free virtual doctor visits 24/7. Plus, with premiums as low as $0 per month, I can stay on top of my health and keep my budget in check. Independence has given me coverage I can count on, and they'll do the same for you. Explore your coverage options and enroll today at ibx.com.
A flawless occasion begins at the Capitol Grill. From the moment you step into the Capitol Grill, located in the heart of Center City, the experience is one of comfortable elegance. Whether you're looking to host a private affair, a perfect lunch stop, or dinner destination, start your occasion at the Capitol Grill today. Visit thecapitolgrill.com or call 215-545-9588. That's 215-545-9588 for the Capitol Grill, Center City.
Payroll Service Solutions was established in 2001 to cater to the payroll needs of small to medium-sized businesses. Payroll Service Solutions offers unparalleled customer service while they deliver a complete and accurate payroll. When calling Payroll Service Solutions, you will never be put into a voicemail or go through a series of prompts to get to a person. All customer service representatives are extensively trained to handle all of your payroll needs, therefore saving you time. They value each and every one of their clients. No account is too small. Call Payroll Service Solutions today at 1-866-PAY-EASY for a no-obligation review of your payroll needs. That number again is 1-866-PAYEASY. Payroll Service Solutions.
If you're looking for a stylish and sophisticated fine dining experience, visit your Eddie V's Prime Seafood restaurant near King of Prussia. Eddie V's Seafood features an abundant selection of fine wines and curated cocktails to complement exquisite steaks and seafood made from the highest quality ingredients. In the V Lounge, sip on imaginative handcrafted cocktails with attitude while enjoying signature appetizers. Conveniently located between I-276 and I-76 near the King of Prussia Mall. Call them today, 610-337-7823 to schedule your night out for Eddie V's Prime Seafood.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. Once again, here are your hosts, Paul Jolovitz and former Flyer Brad Marsh.
Alrighty, back here at Chickies and Pete's in Ben Salem, where all the action is great. Come on out, have fun at the casino, have a great meal, watch some great TV, anything you want. It is a tremendous place here at Chickies and Pete's with Mark Howe and my co-host Brad Marsh. Guys, you played with the Flyers together, we mentioned. I'm not talking about one shift, but a game, a week, a month. Did you guys ever play together? I know Brad was with Doug Crossman, Mark with the late Brad McCrimmon, who we'll talk about later, but did you ever play together for any length of time?
Well, I think we probably did play together, but we were not a pair or a match or anything like that.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, well, the first 2 years as a Flyer, like I played mostly right defense. And so then I would have a chance to play with Brad. Brad, very seldom did Brad play on the right side, unless he was killing a penalty or something. So I know we got a few shifts together, but no, we weren't, quote-unquote partners.
All right. You obviously suffer some travails in your career. You mentioned Pelle Lindbergh. Obviously, everybody knows about that. But there was another loss, Mark, about 10 years ago. Your defense pair, Brad McCrimmon. I remember one year you were plus 85 and Brad was plus 83, which are insane numbers. One of the greatest pairs in NHL history, not just Flyers history. Then Brad went over to coach in Russia, got on a plane that shouldn't have been flying and lost his life. We know about Pelle Lindbergh, but what was it like for you and both of you when Brad McCrimmon lost his life?
I got a couple calls, and people didn't know whether exactly who was on what plane, and some people weren't. And you in your heart, you kind of know, but you're kind of holding out hope that he wasn't on the plane. And but yeah, what a tragic loss for Maureen and for Liam and Carlin, the two kids. And but it was hard. It's really hard to take. And the hardest thing for me is, like, my thinking is that you're lucky as sin if you can have 5 dear close friends in your life, and Brad was one of those 5. So when Brad passed away, it was really tough to take, but it was nice. I had a chance to get back a little bit. Maureen was looking; her brother's not doing well. He lives in Jersey. So Maureen and her sister, they wanted to come down, so they used my shore house for a week, and they had a nice week down here. So we stay in touch, just to like I said, Brad he'll always be a part of my life.
Brad, you got obviously know Brad McCrimmon very well. Other than the first name, what similarities did you guys have? Did you ever play together?
Well, we played together obviously on the team for a lot of years, but we were never partners. Unless Howie came off early and I went on, then me and Beast were partners. But no, you know what? We've talked a little bit about how great a team that we had, and how he said some very kind words about me and my work. That was Beast. He was such a great team guy, and played well on the ice, 82 or 83 plus minus.
It's not bad.
All those stats, all great. But once again, what he did in the dressing room, with his joking around and his laughter and his big smile. And the one thing I remember...
Let me interrupt you for 1 second, because Brad McCrimmon was seen as a gruff guy who's not necessarily the media's best friend at times, but you guys saw such a difference. There's all kinds of people like this, people think about Jalen Hurts, whoever, that show one side of themselves to the public and another side in the locker room that everybody wishes they could see. It sounds like that was part of Brad McCrimmon, Brad, that we never got a chance.
I never thought that about him. Yeah, what you just said. No, he was a pretty happy-go-lucky guy. The one thing I do remember all the time is his big line was, and I use it quite often, everyone pulling on the rope, pulling on the rope. Yeah. Everyone has to pull on the rope to win, and it's so true. And, no, he was a great teammate, a great guy, and like Howie, you hear the news, and coming from Russia, well, maybe it's wrong, or maybe it's incomplete, or maybe it's inconclusive, I guess is the word, but... what a shame.
Yeah, shame is the way I look at it.
A prime example of the way he was. The first year we played together, which would have been Keenan's first year, we had a 2-on-2 rush against. And as we're skating backwards, I tripped on whatever. I went down. Team went down on a 2-on-1, and they scored a goal. We get to the bench, and I'm fuming anyway. And Brad looks at me, he goes, I'm sorry. He said, I was supposed to have your back. So meanwhile, I felt I'm the one that looked like a retard out on the ice. I'm like, what the hell am I doing? And sure enough, but that's the kind of guy, that's the kind of partner he was. So it was never about self. It was never about one. It was always about the team. And he had such a tremendous rapport with everybody. Like, didn't matter what your role, this or that. So many young guys, actually guys that went to that funeral, he impacted so many lives in a positive way that probably as well as anybody I think I ever played with.
Brad, we've had your partner, Doug Crossman, on this show many times. Mark mentioned if you're lucky enough to have 5. I think I agree with that. I think I could pick 5 guys out of my life. Hopefully we all could. You guys spend so much time together, especially with your defense partners. You see more with your teammates and your family and more with your defense partner than, I would say, the rest of your teammates. Any of those 5, if you believe in that theory, were any of those Flyers or hockey players that are friends to this day?
Yeah, it's interesting for me is my closest buddies are junior buddies. I play junior hockey with them. And if you think about junior hockey, in my case, I was 16 playing, or played junior B at 14 and 15, but you experience so many things for the first time.
Yeah.
First girlfriend, first get your driver's license, first beer, et cetera, and you grow up together. And
it took you that long to have your first beer? Oh, okay.
But
maybe not.
But my buddy, I played junior with him back in '73. Dean Hopkins played for LA, and I talk to him all the time. He lives in Canada, obviously, so I don't see him quite as often. But I got a lot of time for my junior teammates. Rob Ramage, I talk to very often. But the one neat thing about our Flyers alumni here is we have so many events, and we bring a lot of guys back to our various events, and it's really great to sit around and listen and see the guys talk and laugh and tell some stories, and it's really cool.
Yeah, the human side of hockey, the human side of sports always intrigued me. It's all about relationships in life, and that's where we get to, and that kind of segue that to the hockey part of it, the trade deadline. Mark, you spent a lot of years with Detroit, I'm sure, making recommendations, scouting guys, asked to take a look at whoever before the deadline to either acquire, deal, whatever. Chuck Fletcher, Brad, looking to improve the Flyers' talent level on this roster. You hear about JVR, Kevin Hayes, maybe Ivan Provorov. Anything you guys see at the deadline that could help the Flyers that you might look at, Mark, from a scout's point of view? Brad, same question.
Well, the thing comes down to it is so much more fun when you're a buyer. It's hard to be. Like my last couple of years in Detroit, we were sellers, and so it's hard to give up on anybody. But if you can get a really good asset, but when you get if you trade a player and you get a second-round draft pick, the chance of that second-round draft pick being an NHL player for 3 years is only like 20%. So unless you're getting a really significant, it has to be a good first-round pick of some sort.
Did you have any oopses that you ever traded, dealt them, and then they became great players?
The other scouts did that.
No, I think everybody does. But
Patrick Nolan.
I mean, it's you're never perfect. My attitude was you give it your best, you try your hardest. Hey, everybody makes mistakes, but thing we were under Kenny Holland especially, we had basically 12 people. You work collectively as a team in the front office, and you come down to a mutual decision. So it's never one person. You could recommend guys do different things, and the bottom line is, if the coach doesn't like them, the trade's never going to work anyway. So that's part of the thought process, that you have to acquire somebody that's going to fit into that coach's system. That's probably the most important thing.
Here's a question for you, Howard. How much say, would the scouting staff consult the coach at all? I know that you do communicate, and the coach may say, hey, we need something like this, but if you're looking at another NHL player as opposed to a draft pick, would you run it by the coach?
No, I think Kenny Holland would.
Kenny Holland, the GM would, yeah.
Yeah, the general manager. So you get, I know when Scotty Bowman was in Detroit, you put all the feelers out there. You get as many opinions as you can possibly get. And then you boil it down to putting you in, like Kenny Holland used to say, he says, I want you to put your stamp on a guy. So, I mean, I could go in there and have 4 or 5 guys that are mediocre. Yeah, they're a little better than my mediocre guys. Am I willing? Okay, I'll give up a 4th-round pick because the chance of him playing is only like 5%. So, and so you didn't mind that. But he says, I want guys that you're going to put your stamp of approval on. And there was probably 4 or 5 guys. And thankfully, I think they all panned out. But when if you're getting ready to go on a playoff run and you trade all these assets and you lose in the first round, no matter how good that one individual played, it's just not worth it. And it's a tough sell.
Brad, the Flyers obviously need a lot more talent than they have now, just pure talent level. On defense, John Tortorella believes in building from the back out, which is a good philosophy.
It's the only way.
It looks like it's like Andy Reid in football from the lines out. Cam York has come up this year and played very well in the time he's been here. Who else do you see? I mean, Morgan Frost and Wade Allison and Owen Tippett. More. What of the young players has really impressed you and caught your eye this year, either defense or anywhere else?
Well, I'll go back to the Edmonton game, and I was at the game, but I was in a box yakking and all that stuff, so you kind of have half an eyeball on the game. And but the one play I like watching York when he's out there, and he played Connor McDavid a one-on-one, and he played it really well. And Connor was doing all the dipsy doodle stuff, and York played it really. I said, that is very impressive right there.
Yeah.
The thing is what I see is that a lot of our guys are now having the opportunity to be leaders. Whereas, in no disrespect to the Voraceks and the Giroux and so on, but when you have veterans here for a long time, unless it's the right veteran, it's that the young kids don't grow and don't flourish like you want them to be. So I see a lot of the young kids stepping up and taking control of the situations.
Good stuff. Flyers obviously can retool themselves, can get better, buying at the deadline. Ultimately, the draft is the lifeblood of hockey, and we'll see who they sign, whatever in the offseason. But the trade deadline, always interesting. We'll see what happens in a couple weeks. When we come back, Mark Howe has a second love. We'll find out what that is. I don't know if you're a big purveyor of this trade. I'm not sure, Brad, but we'll find that out in a second. I know Bernie Perrant loves it. The Independence Blue Cross on the Ice is where we are. We're at Park Casino in Ben Salem. We have a great time every week. Hope you do too. Chris Zermer producing this fine program. We're back right after this.
At Independence Blue Cross, we believe in giving you the tools you need to pursue your healthiest life. From premiums as low as $0 per month to health discounts and cash rewards, it pays to have coverage with Independence. With the strongest network of doctors and hospitals in the region and free 24/7 virtual doctor visits, you can feel confident that quality care is always within reach. Explore your coverage options and enroll today at ibx.com.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. It's all new and it's all for you. The heated deck at Chicky and Pete's on the Boulevard is now open. It's enclosed, heated, and perfect for the ultimate in-game experience or live music when the best local bands take the stage. Like LeComte, Fat Mez, or Jameson. Check our website for the band schedule. The heated deck at Chicky and Pete's on the Boulevard is now open every Thursday through Sunday. Chickies and Pete's.
A flawless occasion begins at the Capitol Grill. From the moment you step into the Capitol Grill, located in the heart of Center City, the experience is one of comfortable elegance. Whether you're looking to host a private affair, a perfect lunch stop, or dinner destination, start your occasion at the Capitol Grill today. Visit thecapitolgrill.com or call 215-545-9588. That's 215-545-9588 for the Capitol Grill, Center City.
Payroll Service Solutions was established in 2001 to cater to the payroll needs of small to medium-sized businesses. Payroll Service Solutions offers unparalleled customer service while they deliver a complete and accurate payroll. When calling Payroll Service Solutions, you will never be put into a voicemail or go through a series of prompts to get to a person. All customer service representatives are extensively trained to handle all of your payroll needs, therefore saving you time. They value each and every one of their clients. No account is too small. Call Payroll Service Solutions today at 1-866-PAY-EASY for a no-obligation review of your payroll needs. That number again is 1-866-PAYEASY. Payroll Service Solutions.
If you're looking for a stylish and sophisticated fine dining experience, visit your Eddie V's Prime Seafood restaurant near King of Prussia. Eddie V's Seafood features an abundant selection of fine wines and curated cocktails to complement exquisite steaks and seafood made from the highest quality ingredients. In the V Lounge, sip on imaginative handcrafted cocktails with attitude while enjoying signature appetizers. Conveniently located between I-276 and I-76 near the King of Prussia Mall. Call them today, 610-337-7823 to schedule your night out for Eddie V's Prime Seafood.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. Once again, here are your hosts, Paul Jolovitz and former Flyer Brad Marsh.
All righty, we're here talking all kinds of hockey stuff with Brad and Mark. We talk about the draft. The draft is an example of this. Finding players is an example of this in kind of a roundabout way. But one of your loves, Mark, is the real way of fishing. We fish for players. We fish for everything. You love to fish for fish. How big a part of your life? You got a boat, kind of retired now on the Jersey Shore. What's it like in Howland fishing-wise?
I've had some adjustments in my life. My longtime girlfriend has dementia, and when we did the COVID vaccine 2 years ago, it greatly impacted her life in a negative way. So that's the predominant focus of my life. I wish it was fishing all the time. Actually, Sharon used to fish with me quite a bit, and my friends John and Carol are here. Actually, we've been next to each other since 1986 down at the Jersey Shore, back to back in boats. So I know John and I have, he was my main crew guy, but we haven't been able to fish much the last probably 4 or 5 years because I had to have my engines replaced, and now with Sharon's health. But yeah, we've done tons of fishing over the years. Love fishing tuna fish offshore, and now, and probably my biggest thing now is I love going and getting all my own clams. I clam all the time. And
you ever fish with Bernie?
No, I've heard him on the radio a few times out in the canyons. But
I don't think Bernie really fishes. I think he just talks about it.
He talks. He shows pictures of fish all the time. But no, it's great. So it's a big part of my life. It was created by my father years ago. He used to take Marty and I fishing. And so actually, Marty and I are going down to Venice, Louisiana in June, tuna fishing. And then actually my daughter wants to join me. I'm going to go big giant bluefin tuna fishing up in Nova Scotia in October.
What's the biggest fish you ever caught?
The one that I caught up in Nova Scotia about four years ago or whatever. And it's all catch and release, but they have a marking on the side of the boat at 10 feet, and the fish was a lot longer. The mate estimated it to be about 1,100 pounds. It took almost 4 hours to get it to the boat.
Was it a tuna, a shark?
No, big giant bluefin tuna. Wow. And believe me, it damn near killed me. So
did you get the picture of you flexing your
muscles?
I
went. Well, no, the worst part was, for 3 hours I was doing great. After 3 hours, I'm either get to the boat or get off my hook.
You fought this thing for 3 hours
by
yourself?
3 hours and 40 minutes.
Wow.
And so my friend John was there, Marty was there, and they kept looking at me, and they looked like the two guys in the Muppet thing sitting up in the little
Waldorf Astoria.
They're chirping away at me. So and they looked at me, and they knew better than that, so I wasn't going to give up. And but thank God my brother was there the next 3 days to help me get my. I couldn't move my shoulders, but it was what a beautiful. It's a beautiful fish. Like I said, it's catch and releases for sport. But yeah, it's a pretty awesome experience.
You a fisherman, Brad?
No.
What's your?
I'll go to the fish market and buy a fish.
You have a chosen hobby that you used to use in your playing days? A lot of guys say they go fishing, the quiet, the peacefulness, or unless you're
I guess you could say I'm a bike rider.
Yeah, you are.
I ride my bike, and
it's pretty impressive, Mark. All the way across Canada.
Yeah, that was a long time ago, but no, I ride my bike, and I'm not a golfer, and guys go golfing. It's what's around a golf 5 hours, unless you go to the bar afterwards, and so I ride my bike as opposed to play golf. So
well, that's how I got into fishing. So I got down the shore. I used to golf 125 rounds a year.
Wow!
But my kids were starting to get older, and I said, well, you're not with them much during the regular season, and now it's in the summer, and I'm golfing 5 days a week. Never golfed on the weekends. And I'm going, well, let's try the boating thing. So
why didn't you ever golf on the weekends?
Too crowded.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I used to take the kids, drop them off for school, beeline right to the golf course, and then as soon as they're ready to pick them, then I'd pick them up from school. So, but yeah, and I loved it. So we're down Long Beach Island. They had the amusement park down there, the water slides, miniature golf, everything else. And so I spent every day with my kids down there. That's what I love. So I got to know got to spend a lot of time with my kids in the summer.
That's tremendous. Actually, this became an issue only yesterday. Alexander Ovechkin was chasing Mark's father, Gordy, become the third NHL player ever to get 800 goals, to pass Gordy and launch an assault on Wayne Gretzky, who's at 894. And Alex Ovechkin passed your dad, and I wanted to ask you about that. But then yesterday, Alex Ovechkin's father passed away, which I know your father did pretty recently. I met your dad. It's a hell of an honor for me just to shake his hand. You and Alex are now on the same team in a couple different ways, obviously. But what was it like to watch him chase your dad and now to watch him chase Gretzky? And now that his dad's passed away, I assume he hasn't reached out to you. But what would you say if he asked you, I'm going for the record, but I lost the most important thing in my life?
Yeah, it's strange. When my dad passed, I don't think I've ever been depressed about anything in my life. Never been a drinker. But my dad, when he passed away in early June, I think that summer, I had real bad plantar fasciitis. I couldn't exercise. I couldn't do anything. I had all this negative energy. And it wasn't until Brad got me involved with the alumni fantasy camp. And I think it was about 2.5 months later that it's kind of one of the first times I got on. I was pretty depressed losing my dad. It was very, very hard for losing my hero like that. And what it was, it ended up being hockey and the people in hockey. So the team I was coaching, the guys would go out for a few drinks. I was hanging with them. They're going, no, you don't have to hang with us. I said, look, you guys are doing more for me than I'm doing for you. I said, you're getting me back into the role of life again. And I think it's going to be, and I don't know what Alex's relationship was with his father. I'm sure it's pretty darn good. And as far as Alex as a hockey player, what a heck of a goal scorer. Like, phenomenal. And we were rooting him on big time. And actually, I know they're going to do something for him down in D.C. I got invited to go back down to D.C. and partake in it. And true to the fashion of the person Gordy and Colleen Howe were, we're going to be there and we're going to be supporting him left and right. So, and he's going to catch Wayne. As long as he stays healthy, he'll catch Wayne.
He should. And Brad, that if I was you in your situation, that would touch me, what Mark just said about you helped him ease the only depression of his life with this program you have. It's a big wand that you wield with the alumni. It's great to keep guys together, keep them involved in whatever. How much joy does that give you?
Oh, it's awesome. Just I love it. Like I said earlier, like, it's great to see the guys sitting and yak, and especially when Alumni A walks in and he hasn't seen Alumni B in 25 years, and the stories. And the first time that Michelle Bellemere and I'm drawing a blank, two guys from the 60s come in. Well, you would have thought that they were like two teenagers sitting there yakking. They're both, Joe Watson was there.
Yeah.
And, it's just great to see the guys get together and laugh and tell stories, and it is very rewarding. And so that's what makes our alumni special, because we do events and the guys come back to them.
That's amazing. Guys, listen, I say this every week, but I wish we had 10 hours to talk. Mark Howe is one of the most accommodating. We booked this 3 months in advance. Most accommodating guests I've ever had. Brad is an amazing co-host, and to hear you guys swap the stories and just get inside a little bit is really a treat for me. Brad, thank you so much for being here. I know you had to pinch hit for Bernie tonight. Always an absolute pleasure and an honor doing shows with you. Good luck with the Warriors.
Thank you.
Good luck with the Flyers. Yep, Mark, Hall of Famer, son of the Mr. Hockey. You're Mr. Hockey in your own rights, Mark. Thank you so much. Best of luck in everything.
Thanks, Paul.
All right.
Appreciate it.
This has been an unbelievable show. People enjoying it. The Chickens and Pete's here at the beautiful Parks Casino. Chris Irmer produced this fine program. Stephen Lawler, thank you for turning the knobs back at the station. We'll be back next week here at Parks with another guest, another co-host. We'll have a lot of fun. We always do on the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. For Brad Marsh, for Mark Howe, this is Paul Jolovitz saying good night and go Flyers.
You've been listening to On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. Tonight's show is an exclusive presentation of 1490 WBCV and heard around the world at WBCV1490.com.